Check, and we're live. So, first of all, hello to folks in the chat. I see Kat has been up to her usual mischief, and yes, chaos. Gareth, I know you're somewhere close by and have left a message. As I always say in the beginning, thank you to everyone who can join us during the live stream. I know between work and time zones, it's not always possible. So always a big thank you to Team Rewatch. It's much appreciated. And my guest today is Richard from Vintage Science Fiction. Welcome, Richard.
Thank you. Yeah, some people wonder if it's vintage San Francisco sometimes when they see SF.
Oh, that's funny. But yeah, I guess, some people might think it's actually a location and a town. I think, well, I love my Star Trek, Star Wars, so to me it's just automatic science fiction.
Yeah,
Plus,
I think for most people.
Yeah. Plus, I also got to see you on Gareth and Dave's live stream, so I knew ahead of time what the channel was. So, Ven and Ginger saying hi to each other.
Hello there.
They're talking about the movie, so I'll let them chit chat because we like picking on Ven. He doesn't know. Well, he does know some movies, but he doesn't watch a lot of movies. So we're always shocked when he's on top of something with a movie.
Okay.
And then Kat, hey, Gavin, how are you? Took me a minute. Almost called him genre. I know Kat's been playing with these cool new ornaments. Well, I call them ornaments. She's making little dragon skulls, or little skulls and little dragons. So cute. And if shipping and handling wasn't such a nightmare, I'd be scooping some of those. Hey, Constance.
Hey, Constance, I see her a lot on the live feeds that I've been on.
Yeah, Constance is amazing. She's around a variety of them. We have our Chaos crew, which is Ven, Kat, myself, Noah, and Jenny. You've probably seen Jenny as well. In a number, Jenny Parks. And I don't know if you've ever seen her short with her in the T-Rex suit.
No.
If you have not, Richard, you've got to go to Jenny Parks' channel. I have seen that sucker. It's Jenny Parks, Jenni, and then Parks.
Okay.
I've watched it at least 20 times, and I need to go back. It's a short. But, it's hilarious. It was something she was doing at work. And it's this huge inflatable T-Rex suit that she's inside. I couldn't do it because I'm claustrophobic. But she's inside it, running around her workplace and out in a strip mall. Or a plaza, so it's outside. She's in Scotland. And I mean, the look on people's faces. I mean, she brightens so many people's days doing this thing, including her own. It was just hilarious. Yes, Kat's seen it as well. And
the Scottish T-Rex. Did they have T-Rexes in Scotland?
Well, they do one.
Yeah, they do now. We certainly do in the prairies here in Manitoba and in Canada. Actually, in Manitoba, we have incredible marine fossils because there was a huge lake called Lake Agassiz here in the middle of North America. So you think of the prairies, but it actually was a huge lake way back when.
See, now I may come across that in a book I'm going to be talking about. It's called Hidden Stonehenge. I've had it on my shelf for over a decade. It's waited. It's a good thing books are more patient than people. It's been waiting ever so patiently, and I'm really looking forward to getting into it because I've been rereading Fingerprints of the Gods by Graham Hancock, and of course he gets into everything with North America, North America, South America, Egypt, and all that kind of stuff. And of course, Sitchin talked about a bunch of different things. And every now and again you get a little hint of things in North America, but nowhere near what's coming up about other locations. I think part of it is because sadly so much of it was destroyed, certainly south of the border and possibly up here north of the border as well. But they are making new interesting discoveries. And certainly, is it Alberta where they have the big, is it a park
Well,
archaeology site?
yeah. One of the a world-class museum is in the middle of a valley in a small town called Drumheller in Alberta.
Okay,
It's the Tyrrell Museum, and if anyone wants to ever look that up, it is great. I've been there a couple times. Once with our kids, they actually went to a little bit of a day camp there, and
nice.
there's a couple different places in the prairie. There's a small town in Saskatchewan called East End, Saskatchewan, that has a T-Rex that was found in that area. If you think about it, it kind of goes down into that Montana area that goes down into Utah and
Yeah.
Colorado. So all that band there, there's a lot of dinosaurs being found.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
That's exciting. We also have Alan joining us, Big Hard Books and Classics. I don't think I've missed any of the conversation. And if I do, I'll apologize. I've got my short sight glasses on because they don't glare.
Mm.
Normally, I wear my other ones, but then I notice I'm always getting the glare
Oh, you'll
when
get
I
mine.
look up.
You might see yourself in my glasses.
Yeah. Yeah, see these, and I actually have to get some new ones. So I think the new distance ones, I'll get this nice little coating because,
Mm.
yeah, sometimes it's because sometimes you blind you. It's like, whoa, how do I turn this? Wait, I can't because I need the screen on to
Yeah.
to do stuff. Impatient books have waited almost a decade. Yep, same with me.
There's a lot waiting here for me.
There we go. So see, we're not the only one. I had Zachariah Sitchin's The Earth Chronicles sitting there and sitting there. And it was funny. Once I started reading them, because I have a whole crap ton of different interests. And when I started reading his first book, it was the Sumerians. I didn't know much about them. It wasn't a mythology or cosmology I knew anything about. And I was starting to get confused between the gods. And I'm like, okay, I've got to do something. I've got to read something else before. And yet it's that only that first book with the Anunnaki and that. And I got through it fine. The others, okay, I'd already been reading tons about ancient Egypt and everything else. So, but yeah, they waited for well over a decade. So, one big burning question I have: how do you do just one genre? And do you just read one genre?
The first question is about how do I do one genre? It's a focus, actually. It's a niche. And
Mm-hmm.
sometimes with booktube, that can be something that's attractive and gets you into that niche and people see it. The
Yeah.
problem is breaking out of that niche as well to see other people. I honestly, I didn't think about it that way when I started the channel. What
Mm.
happened was I was in my teen years, well, basically since I was a kid and into my 20s, loved science fiction, loved old television shows, loved reading stuff in my library, started collecting some books.
Mm.
And then once I hit the time when I was married, before we had kids, continued. But once we had kids, that slowed down.
Yeah.
And a lot of the reading that I did at that point was just pure, I call it popcorn reads, sort of pleasure reads.
Yeah.
That'd be like mysteries or thrillers or a Jurassic Park or something came out during that time. Um, excuse me. And so, with career and children, I didn't focus as heavily on science fiction.
Mm.
And then I retired a couple of years ago, and I was watching YouTube, and I happened to come across. I didn't know that something called BookTube I mean, it's kind of a loose association of people
Yep.
existed until I saw a person my age talking with another person in the UK about science
Hmm.
fiction. They called themselves Two Grumpy Old Men. It was on Stephen E. Andrews' channel called The Outlaw Bookseller. And I'm going, these guys are about my age. We have some similar interests. There's actually, Stephen and I are actually only a couple of months apart and have a love for John Wyndham that we,
Oh, Wyndham's amazing.
yeah. And so we both cherished him since our youth. And so I started chatting with him and I go, I can do this. And
Nice.
that's how it happened. It became, I'm not golfing. I'm not building a car in the garage. Uh, I'm collecting
Had to
science
do
fiction
something.
books and reading them and sharing them with people. Now, that doesn't mean I
Nice.
won't read other books. You probably won't hear about it on the channel, but
Right.
I try to keep the channel as focused as possible.
Sweet. That's not something I can do, but
Actually,
kudos to someone who can.
right now I'm reading the biography of James Tiptree Jr., who is Alice B. Sheldon. And so
Okay.
I do read nonfiction about science fiction and about authors.
Awesome. Okay, I'm just going to catch up with a few.
Yeah,
So, Constance, I may be addicted to BookTube live streams. Hey, there's worse things you could be doing with your time, Constance.
they're fun
A
because we
lot
get to
of,
talk to you, Constance, and others.
yeah. Well, it is lovely that we have so many viewers, and it's a nice, at least the folks I've come across that I chill with, it's such a lovely, supportive, wonderful community. Some people have channels, some people don't, but everyone is just so welcoming and sweet and encouraging. And I like that little corner that
Oh, yeah.
I've found. Oh yes, we have lost Ozzy Osbourne,
I
which
understand
is
that Hulk Hogan just died as well today.
oh well I noticed something, and I'm really trying to stay away from the news. Um, but there was something about Hulk Hogan and his ex-wife releasing some post. I didn't realize he had just passed as well.
Yeah, I think it was a
Wow.
heart attack.
Oh my goodness. Yikes. We are joined by the lovely Leslie, listening
So
during my
Leslie,
lunch break. And yeah, see, um, times Leslie is on the West Coast. So it's funny. Here for me, it's 3:13. Is it noon or 1 for you?
it's 2:13 here.
2:13.
Just one
Okay,
hour
so
difference.
and then I know when I was talking to Jolene, because through July I've been kind of trying to focus on Canada, but then I kind of had a dip through the month, courtesy of YouTube kicking me in the nads, but that's okay. But Jolene is a couple hours behind because I think she's in Alberta. So yeah, it's
That'll be
and
one
then
more
I
hour. It'd be 1:13 there, I think.
yeah, and then if we go to the East Coast, it, I mean, it really is like time travel when you think about it. And it really gives you, or I found, an appreciation for how we, so for me, it's 3:13. But that isn't the time for everybody else. Like some people are getting up, they're having their first coffee, other people are almost finished with their day.
You know what?
And
We live in a science fictional world that all these people here, I see Gavin down there. I know, 6 hours difference from us. I have people who watch who are from Singapore or other places. It's just amazing that we can all be together like this. I
yeah,
wouldn't have dreamed that this would have happened, uh, not in this way, at least, when I was, a young lad.
yeah.
Um, the other day, I had a little bit of laser surgery where they were just sort of trying to allow my eye to have a little bit more, be a little bit more porous so that the pressure in the eye wouldn't be too hard. And I'm
Mm.
just going, I never thought I'd have laser shot into my eyes as surgery when I was a kid. Uh, So
Yeah.
much of this is amazing uh, development, and it's very interesting to see. I'm not sure if I'm sort of hijacking where we were going, but to see the
I go all over the place.
yeah,
Trust me, they all know. We go if we hit the topic, it's a good week.
well, the sociological and philosophical implications of the technology is always fascinating to people who love science fiction.
Mm-hmm. Well, and even doing this, and I've said it before on my live streams, and you and I are just a year apart, to me, this is Jetsons.
Yeah.
Saturday morning cartoons. I remember getting up and having my cereal and watching Janie and the crowd, and they're talking on TV in real time, and I'm like, whoa, that would be cool. And here we are. And not even just in the same city with things zipping by, but all around the world at all hours of the day. There's a lot of good things to tech. There's a lot of scary things to tech, but it's like anything, right? It's finding that balance of how to use it and use it for the common good, right?
And the other thing when we talk, hello there,
Hey,
Paula.
Paula. Yep.
The other thing about live streaming here that I find amazing is when I first started making YouTube videos, I thought it was very much going to be a solitary thing that I'd get to know some of the people who are commenting. But once I started doing some live streams, some of the buddies that I'd made here in primarily in the United States
Mm,
did these live streams, and I go, wow, all these people that I see in comments on my right hand side of my screen are right there with us and chatting with us live as well. This is not a solitary endeavor. This is actually something where we've found our tribe. We found people that we can chat with about the things that we're interested in.
exactly. And say now, first of all, so how long have you had your channel?
Just over 2 years.
Nice. Yeah, I'm just past three, coming up to 3.5. Not from when I started the channel, from when I started uploading videos.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
I took months before I would put anything up, and I probably deleted way more. And then I'm finally like, you just got to do it.
Oh,
You just got to do it.
you can find all my cringy first videos out there if you want to. I didn't delete any.
Oh, see, I've gone through, and not because they're cringy, but because I came from the educational field, talking about books is very different in a classroom versus chit chatting with people outside of a classroom. And so my first start was I was basically giving summaries like I was talking to students. And I'm like, that's not where I want to go with this. I'm not, developing a library that students can come to if they're doing a certain assignment. And of course, cringy at the beginning, no matter what. And it happens to all of us when we start. But I was like, after a while, you develop that comfort. And I don't know if this happens with you, but sometimes I'll put one up about a book and then I'm like, no, I wanted to say something else, or I wanted to say it different. So if it's like a year or something down the road, I'll remake some of them or combine some of them, and then I take the old one down because I try and keep it evergreen. And if I've remade something, then I think part of it too is, even though I know we don't see it, I think of it as not necessarily clutter, but it's taken up space. So if I don't need that and I've redone it, then it's time to go through and clean up. But I know other people have
Nope.
kept from their first one there.
Mine are stacked up like dirty dishes. They're, I've done a few videos that I call upon further review. Sort of like you
Oh,
do
good
instant
idea.
replays and stuff online, or in a game, to see if the referee got it right, and they can change the call. I've changed the call on some of the books that I've reviewed in the past. I leave the old one up there. I actually get great responses from upon further review, because I think that people like it, that you might look at a book a second time and say,
Mm,
"Oh, I had a bias, or I just didn't get it," or this is sometimes there's books that are complicated enough that you really have to read them a couple times to really appreciate them. And
yeah.
so that's a portion of the channel I didn't envision coming up either, but that's the way I treat it. But yeah, as I said, if you, I I told you how much I love Wyndham.
Mm-hmm.
I never heard a British person talking about Wyndham, so I was always saying Windham, uh, pronouncing the D and the ham at the end
Yeah.
of the name. And so I had somebody correct me, and eventually I go, "Oh, I can't believe it! My favorite author, and I didn't know how to say his last name." And so, of course, since then it's always been Wyndham. But that old video still exists that has Windham, and every
Yeah.
once in a while I get somebody correcting my pronunciation again, years later. And I
That's fun.
tell them, look at some newer videos. I'm doing better.
And again, it's a learning process, whether it's, the way we say things, how we present ourselves, lighting. This week I've got my light above. Other weeks I've had the light behind so it looks like nighttime. Once I color my hair again, the light above won't be so bad, but the gray just
Oh,
shoots it off
I like
everywhere.
it. I'm very proud of the white beard I have here.
Well, it's funny because when I started, because I just oh, it was months ago now that I finally colored it again. But for years, it was all white because I wasn't going to do the coloring again. And then as I was, decluttering and reorganizing, I'm like, oh crap, I still have hair color here. And my husband's like, that stuff's old. I'm like, hair's dead. It's not going to matter. Let's just throw it on and see what happens. So here I am while it's growing out. But I did actually, because turns out I like the color.
Mm.
I did get one more box of brown, like my actual color. I'll do it one more time,
Go for it.
and
I,
that
I
might
love
be it.
I love seeing the rainbow in hair. That doesn't bother me at all. Whatever color you want.
See, and that's it, because there's so many amazing colors now. It's the
Yeah.
only reason I kind of wish I was a bit younger, because I'm like, wow, where was this stuff when I was growing up? I mean, my dad freaked out enough when I turned my hair auburn red. He's like, ugh. I'm like,
I'm
chill.
guessing that sort of white hair is a good base for different colors.
Yeah, it would be because it'll take anything. Kool-Aid. You don't even have to buy hair color. You just get a packet of Kool-Aid and sprinkle her in there, and off you go.
Boy, I remember Kool-Aid when you're talking about the cartoons and stuff we watched. Oh, there were so many Kool-Aid ads during that time. And do you remember Tang from outer
Yes,
space?
yes,
The
that's
astronauts
right.
drank it.
Everybody had to have it because,
Yeah.
it's what the astronauts had. Then sharing someone else that uses the term
Ah,
popcorn reads.
good. Oh, I didn't know that other people did, but it's a perfect fit, right? It's like a movie. It's like watching a movie that's just a
Yeah,
fun movie.
that's a perfect way of putting it.
Yeah.
Cat now wants popcorn. Love that a lot of the groups in so many overlapping, and
Yeah.
that's it. And I'll have to see if Gareth pops by or not. I can't. I think this is the week Dave and Gareth are on,
Mm.
so I always make sure to finish up in time because we all hop over to see Dave and Gareth. And it's funny. I drive Dave crazy because, of course, they have their cookie deal, right? You have to have cookies or biscuits, depending which one you ask. And so it was funny a while back. Oh, it was January. A group of us did a birthday live stream because we're all Capricorns. So, of course, we had cake. And Dave's like, you what now? Are you trying to get my thing? I'm like, dude, it was a birthday live stream. Chill. Then a while later, I did one for my channel anniversary. So we had cake. So now I just bug Dave that we have cake on my live streams. Guys are my social life. Well, there we go. And hey,
Awesome.
you know what? It's all good.
It's always good to see you in the comments here, Constance.
Absolutely. The only corner I want to be in. Agreed, Paula. Such a lovely, lovely group of people. Yep. See, like me, Kat hadn't heard, but I remember because I didn't watch wrestling much, but I certainly remember Hulk Hogan, and I can't remember some of the, well, no, I think I know The Rock from acting. Think I stopped watching wrestling by the time he was there because pretty sure he started in wrestling before he got into
I think
the
you're right.
acting career.
Well, you know what?
Well,
Hulk Hogan, I'd never heard of the guy until I saw him in Rocky 3.
really?
Yeah. Um, I don't know what that was, 1982 or something like that. Uh,
Yeah.
and that's the one that Mr. T was in that movie too. But he was definitely a larger than life character in many ways.
Yeah.
And so I believe that's really when his fame took off after they had him in there. What was his? I think his name in that movie was something like Thunder Lips. It was a really bizarre
Oh, can't
name.
remember, but yeah. And yeah, Gavin's right. Guess and that was another one, The Undertaker. Like some of the names these guys had was just
No,
wild.
showbiz. Yeah.
Exactly. And so, yes, Paula's also in the
Oh,
UK. So
okay.
8 o'clock. Ven's in the UK.
Ah,
Kat is in the US. Love it. Talk to y'all. Time differences more than folks I've actually known personally for years.
well, I found that my number one viewing nation is United States, and then it's the UK, and then Canada. I
Me
mean,
too.
yeah, I think it has to do with population. We're all English speakers. Australia, I'm not sure where Australia ends up in that group, but it's
Hmm.
it's fun.
See, and okay, so my stats are the same and it was funny because until I came on YouTube, I really didn't know many Americans. I knew the odd one, but certainly not many. And yet, since I've discovered BookTube, because when I first came on, I was more around paranormal debunking community.
Mm.
Then I stumbled into BookTube thanks to Renee from Beyond Books, who happened to sub to my channel. I checked her out, and that's where everything spiraled out. And I started meeting all these booktubers like Alan and Greg, who do their live streams on Mondays. And then it just I think I met Kat through one of their live streams. I met Van through Kat through her reading sprints on Fridays, and it's just spiraled out. But the funny thing is, and I was really chuckling about that, going, yeah, I'm going to promote Canada in July. And then I'm like, wait a minute, they're my third viewers. I've got like US, UK, and then Canada. What's going on here? Come on.
Okay, I'm going to quiz you.
Okay.
Name some Canadian science fiction authors.
Oh, guess what? I'll do you one better.
Okay.
William Shatner, and I got the book right here.
Yep, from Montreal, I believe.
Yes, he is. And that was a fluke because I just picked that up through one of my thrift store hauls, which I love my Goodwill bookstore, and because it's just books, and they have an amazing science fiction section. But Shatner, I'll be honest, is probably the only Canadian sci-fi author I can name.
Let's ask the people who are in the comments. I'd love to see if they come up with some as well. I'll hold off until we
Okay.
take them from there, and we'll just make this a bit of a game.
Okay.
No looking online. Like, don't search Canadian
Yeah.
author.
Don't
This
be
is just off the
Googling,
top of
Van.
no Googling.
Okay, so a catch up. Well,
I have a feeling one
giving
is going to
people.
come through for sure, but we'll see.
Yeah. And so Ven's saying, yes, they are the future because, well, for me, they're 5 hours ahead. For you, 6. How's the future? Does it get better? Yeah, it was. I mean, it's still here if that helps. It was funny when we had our election a few months ago,
In
the
Canada.
day
Yeah.
that I was doing the live stream, I was actually with someone from New Zealand. And so he was actually Tuesday morning when I was
Right.
Monday night. I'm
The
like,
Dateline.
who won? He's like, I can't tell you. That's not right. You should know the results. It's Tuesday.
Our now is not the same.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, Jetsons, still no flying cars. Back to the
That
Future
are
line.
reliable. You're right. I've seen some of these huge like drones that people can sit on and fly in, but yeah, not something that's actually reliable.
Yep, not yet.
And there's a version of a hoverboard even.
Yeah, well, even those things, I can't remember what they're called now, but people stand on them and they just
Scooters. Yeah.
they've got the two wheels and that, but they have to do is stand there. They don't have to push or I can't remember. There's so many different things that have changed. But yeah, Alan's saying they just did the 1980s Monday live show. That would be awesome. Better than expected. Guess they're still being here is kind of a win.
Okay.
Yeah. Paula is
Horror.
just trying new genres.
I do read a little bit of horror. I have to admit, I'm one of those guys that when I was a teenager into my 20s, Stephen King was pumping out all his original stuff.
Yep.
So to this day, I have a book on reserve in the library, whatever his latest is coming out that I'll read. I have reviewed one or two on the channel, but the people who watch my videos really aren't too interested in it. And so I just read them for fun and don't talk about them on the channel.
Well, that's something that I came up with too, is that there's a lot of things I read, but I don't have to share everything I read in a video. So that's a good thing. Any
Now,
recommendations for a sci-fi newbie?
well, I tend to, because of the name vintage, I tend to recommend older things. But I will recommend one that recently was made into a TV show. It's called Murderbot, and they're novellas. They're in books individually, but they're only like maybe 150 pages long.
Oh,
That's
nice.
a modern series that is gaining a lot of fame because of the TV series, and they're both very good. But when it comes to older stuff, Arthur C. Clarke, Childhood's End, or 2001: A Space Odyssey is good stuff. John Wyndham, Day of the Triffids, or Midwich Cuckoos.
Day of the Triffids, my favorite. Favorite.
If you want to go right back, Mary Shelley, Frankenstein, or H.G. Wells, any of his science fiction, those are all good places to start. It kind of, when I talk to science fiction new people who are new to it, I like to sort of know what they like to read. And science fiction kind of incorporates that, right? Because there's horror in science fiction.
Some of it, yep.
So one of those would be, there's the movie called The Thing. It's been remade a couple times. It's based on a novella by John W. Campbell from the 1930s called Who Goes There? And you can read it today. If I didn't tell you it was from the 1930s, you could read it today and think somebody today wrote it. A lot of the good science fiction is kind of like that. So, yeah, those are a couple that just immediately come to mind.
That's cool. Nice quick. Hopefully I haven't. Gareth, you know what? I bet he fell asleep.
Oh, the other thing is, another one that would be, say, 1980s is Orson Scott Card's Ender's Game. A lot of people love that as an entry point.
Excellent. So there you go, Paula. A lot of great recommendations. I would definitely say Wyndham. Love him. Day of the Triffids. Read it, like I say, when I was in high school. Just read it again recently. The Chrysalids, I read back then and just reread. Have a copy of that one. First time ever just read Midwich Cuckoos. Really enjoyed it. And I now have my own copy of it because I got it from the library. And Chalky.
I love
Is
Chalky.
isn't that an amazing
I'm a dad, so I can understand the basic
right?
part of the story is this boy has a imaginary friend, but is it really imaginary? And the dad is one of the protagonists who is concerned about it and takes him to see a psychologist.
Mm,
And I won't say too much more about it, but because I'm a dad, it kind of that relationship and that care for the child with his
yeah.
along with his wife, um, made it even a little bit more special in terms of the things that developed out of it. By the way, it's a touch of horror. Midwich Cuckoos for sure is a touch of horror. It's like
Mm,
horror constant. Or who was that? Paula?
yep.
Who was asking? Yeah.
Yep. Yeah. For Alan Voxer and WhatsApp is his ham radio. Uh,
True. Yeah.
yeah. Kat asking Paula how she's liking horror. On my third horror in a week. There you go. So she's found a new genre. Constance agrees with you, Richard. Child's End by Arthur C. Clarke. Fun and exciting. More about people than some. That's good to know.
And it
I
also
just,
has, I think good science fiction has paradigm shifts at times, and everything changes twice in that novel. About a third of the way through, what there's aliens involved. What you discover about the aliens just changes everything in one way.
mm,
And then about two-thirds of the way through the novel, you discover something new again about this contact with aliens that changes everything as well and changes how you look at humans. So
mm,
it's a very it's a very rewarding read.
nice. See, I haven't read Clark. I mean, I've always known the name. I watched the movie 2001. I just found three of his books 2001, 2000, and whatever it is.
Oh, the sequels?
Yeah.
2061, 3001, something like that. Yeah.
And there's something else in there because Monty, can't think of the rest of his whole channel name, mentioned there's another one. There's actually four. So
Yep.
I may end up just reading the three that I found and then hope I come on the fourth because I don't know about in Manitoba, but here in Ontario, I am getting very sad with my library that a lot of the books I'm looking for are no longer available.
Well, unless old books are reprinted, libraries tend to get rid of stock after a certain number
Yeah.
of years. That's where you have all these library sales.
Mm-hmm.
So if it's not reprinted, you're not going to find it unless it's in a digital copy of some sort.
Exactly. So that makes me sad,
Yeah.
not just because I can't find it, but because it means people who can't go and purchase books or who don't have a digital item where they can access it aren't getting those amazing old classic vintage materials.
There's an amazing online library called archive.org, archive.org. And there you can rent books, magazines, things from 100 years ago in terms of science
Mm,
fiction. Um, and so I try and recommend that for people when there's books that are out of print. That's one option of a place that they
option.
can go to try to find it.
Yeah, that's a
But
good.
I'm not sure about you. I like reading a physical book versus a screen any day.
Yes. I could turn this, but let's see. This bookcase is full. I have 16 cubes beside me because they're cute. My desk has books. There's four cubes there, and there's a whole bunch of other cubes in the living room.
Yeah.
Physical. It has to be. I have tried audio. I've kicked it up to 2.5
Oh,
so my mind doesn't wander. Well, part of that too is because I used to prepare audio versions for students to listen to that were using assistive tech.
yeah. I
But I
remember
also,
seeing
go
a
ahead,
video or two of yours where you were talking about being a resource teacher. Was that what it was? Yeah.
educational assistant. Yeah.
Okay.
I always specified because the salary is very different. I
Mhm.
wish I'd been a teacher, but I had more fun as an EA because I could follow the kids all through their 4 years. And if I, especially in resource, because if I met them in grade 9, they were still coming in grade 12. So I basically got to watch them grow up,
Yeah.
watch them graduation, get their diploma. And I love that versus what I would have lost my mind, one subject, one room, and determined who was in there by an attendance sheet. The pay would have been better, but emotionally, no, thank you. But yeah, that I love doing that job. And with Kurzweil, which is a program developed by Ray Kurzweil, you could see the text and it would highlight the words. So for struggling or resistant readers, it was perfect because they could listen to the text and see the text. And through that, their reading abilities increased because they were learning to recognize and hear the word. And I laugh now when I think of how many of them would squawk and fight and care. I'm not stupid. I don't need this. And I'm thinking, I'm looking at all these booktubers with their immersive reading who are listening to books and following text. I'm like, it's cool now, kids. Like you would have been ahead of the times. But granted, the voices back then were a bit.
Wooden.
But what I loved with that program is you could change the speed. And for people like me who paid attention and watched what the kids were doing, it also helped me know if I was talking too fast to a student. Because if they had to turn it down, giving them the time to process, it meant I needed to talk slower. And I shared that with their teachers too.
Yeah.
And same with the others who kicked it up a notch, who, weren't kicking it up to chipmunk version because they were getting bored.
Yep.
People were talking too slow. And I found out myself doing books and that I needed it faster because audiobooks, I'm gone. If I don't have the physical book in front of me and I need the 2 pages, so even ebooks are a bit of a challenge. But I end up, even if I'm doing something else, it doesn't stick in my head the same as holding that book and reading it.
Audiobooks put me to sleep. I'll actually listen to podcasts to go to sleep.
See, and different things, right? Other people love audiobooks because they can do this and that. And I'm like, it just doesn't
By the way,
work.
I see in the comments that we have some people taking me up on trying to figure out some Canadians here. Constance is asking if Ellison, that would be Harlan Ellison, is a Canadian. No, he's not. William Gibson is the next one I see from Ben's Corner. William Gibson was born American, but I believe during the Vietnam War came to Canada, to Vancouver, I believe basically a draft dodger, and has been a Canadian, lived, I think, both in Vancouver and Toronto. And yeah, he will be one of those top tier people that people would consider as a Canadian writer. And then Genre Books added A.E. Van Vogt, who actually comes from Manitoba originally, but then moved down into Los Angeles, I think. But some of his first stories were written here in Winnipeg. And Margaret Atwood is the one that I think a lot of people know because of The Handmaid's Tale.
Yeah. And see, Atwood I would know, but I wouldn't have thought of her as a science fiction writer.
Well, I think if you think about the Handmaid's Tale, that might be the only genre you could really place it into, I guess, unless
horror,
perhaps. Yeah.
But yeah, I hadn't. Okay, interesting point. I hadn't really thought of that. And I do have The Handmaid's Tale actually, because last year I was doing the 24 and 2024 started by MJ. And it was a great experience to learn. Even the books that are banned up here in Canada ticked me off. But, and I looked as well, not just at the US, but I looked at Canada and the United Kingdom. And yeah, it's everywhere. And I still say before your complaint should be taken seriously, you need to cite what page and what part upsets you specifically. And if you can't do that, it means you didn't read the book. So shut your pie hole because you don't know what you're talking about. If you haven't read it, then you shouldn't be complaining about it. Don't be messing with other people's freedoms and rights. And this is where I really get irritated about that type of thing is you want to talk about your freedoms and your rights, but you want to violate other people's. Nope. Nope, 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 nope. Okay, so we have a lot of cake talk. Someone likes my gray hair. We have cake, cake. Sorry if I'm going to miss anything.
I see Keanu Reeves as a question here in terms of written anything. I know that he just wrote something with China Miéville
Oh,
as a science fiction book. You know, Keanu Reeves, I'm not aware if he is Canadian.
yes,
I
he
know,
is.
yeah, okay.
Yes, he
I know
is.
that he actually did Shakespeare theater here in Winnipeg
Oh,
uh,
wow.
in the 1990s, and that was like a big thing here for Winnipeg that he
No
would come up
doubt.
here to do theater.
Sweet.
Yeah.
Paula sharing, and again, the spiral out. So Paula came over to my live stream when I had Hermie, who's also United Kingdom.
Mm,
And then through the chat, Paula's met everyone else. So now we connect through many.
awesome.
Renee and I are posting reviews on John Grisham's Frame today. Nice.
That must be a new one because I'm not familiar with that title. The
I couldn't
Frame.
tell you Grisham, but my husband could.
I used to read Grisham at least.
Yeah, he's and he loves his reader ebook
Mm,
things. One, because it's easier on his hands.
hmm
So it's easier to hold than especially some of the chunky monkeys
Yeah,
trying to hold them up.
it's hard reading this one here. It's just it's
Yeah,
big.
but yeah, so I mean, he's into. I keep saying Kat should just have tea with my hubby at some point because they read the same spy adventure, Grisham. Well, she wasn't crazy about Bourne, but oh, who's the other? I'm thinking Grisham, but there's a whole bunch of
Isn't
others.
Born Ludlum?
Patterson, Ludlum.
Patterson. Oh yeah, Patterson has got a million books out there. Probably some of them co-written or ghost-written by other people. He probably tells a plot too.
Yeah.
But he's a very popular. He's one of those popcorn authors. Alex Cross, I think, is one of his creations.
Ah.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, it's here. Good to hear that the
Mhm.
audio is well done.
Yep. Now, I do know Ven likes his audiobooks. He does both. He reads physical and listens to a fair bit of audio. I think for me, part of it too is, especially when I'm looking through Libby, when
Oh,
I'm looking that a book's going to be 20 or 30 hours, I'm like, no.
do people here
And
know what
yet,
Libby is?
sorry,
Do people here know what Libby is? I do actually, but
quite a few do. So borrowing through the library and you can get ebooks or audiobooks. But yeah, I look at
it's an
that
app.
20 to
Yeah,
30 hours and I'm like, that's a long time.
it is. You know what? When I actually do listen to audiobooks, it's usually when I'm taking a long trip on a long drive. Here in Winnipeg, everything's a pretty long drive. So
Yeah.
that's when I would listen to a book. But often I have to re-listen to things because I miss things. My mind wanders as I drive too,
See
and I got to
now,
keep focused there. Yeah.
and see if I was taking a long drive, I don't drive anymore. I haven't for 2 years.
Hmm.
But growing up in the country and that, yeah, if I'm out on a long drive, oh, that's when I'm listening to the Eagles or the Moody Blues or Styx, and it's loud, especially if I'm out in the country.
Yeah.
That's not book time, that's rock and roll time. Who goes there really holds up well. Okay, so
We
see,
agree.
Ven knows
Yep.
these books you're mentioning. Paula read mostly
Oh,
fantasy. Ooh, now yes, paranormal.
I do read some fantasy. Science fiction and fantasy really didn't separate until Lester Del Rey and Judy Del Rey in the 70s kind of almost made it a separate category. So stuff like Roger Zelazny's Amber books, or Michael Moorcock I have back here with Elric. Those are some science fiction authors who wrote fantasy as well, or Ursula K. Le Guin with the Earthsea series. Um,
Mm,
Ursula K. Le Guin is one of my favorite new to me authors.
nice.
I've read probably about 10 or 11 of her books over the last 2 years.
Wow. Awesome. Now, Constance is saying stay away from the commentary about Childhood's End until after you read it.
Big spoilers. You can't do it. Yeah.
Ah, yeah. And see, that's the other. And even when I'm talking about books, I try to avoid spoilers. Like, unless it happens to be a live stream and we're chatting about a series, because you can't do that spoiler free without going to book two.
I
But
have I have trouble talking about series. I can talk about the first book, but I very rarely will ever talk about book two, three, four, whatever, because how
really,
can you? As you say, how can you? Because you're going to spoil that first one for somebody who's new to it. I'm not
ah,
sure. There's almost like I need to start a section where it's only spoilers. All we do is talk about the whole book and what has happened in the book.
well, see, there'd be your title, right? Spoilers, and then the book.
Yeah, I'm not sure how well that would play out though, because I think people are mostly on BookTube looking to find what books are out there that would be interesting to read.
Well, but then you have people like Ven, because we've talked about it. We've done a few book reads.
Mm,
Doesn't mind spoilers.
yeah,
Neither does Jenny, who I don't know where our other little chaos gremlin is today. She may be working. Um, they don't mind spoilers. I don't want a spoiler. And I typically, and this may sound bad, but I don't typically, actually, I've never looked on Goodreads when I'm deciding to buy a book or read a book.
I don't use it either, except for some
I,
research.
yeah, I just use it to keep track of my reading. And I'm, now and again, oh, what are my friends reading? Except I know from their booktube channels as well, or
Mhm.
talking to them. But for me, especially if I'm at the thrift store, I'm looking, is it an author I know? Is it a title or subject I'm interested in? I
And
don't look
sometimes
anything.
I was
Sorry?
just I was just going to say, and sometimes the blurb on the back of the book gives away a huge part of it as well, and that's a
Mm,
very frustrating thing for readers who like to come in fresh to whatever book it is.
yeah, I want hints and clues, but I don't want the giveaway
Yeah,
right away. But then there's other people who, and see, I don't give numbers. I stopped doing that in January, even on Goodreads, because it's so subjective. What were your expectations going in? What other books have you read of this genre? Which is what did me in with Fourth Wing. I've read so many other different books, and I was really wanting dragons. I could care less about the romance and the humans. It interests me not in the least, but that was most of the book. The last 130 pages were decent because it was the story and the dragons. But see, I would have given it a low rating, which would be unfair because talking with other people about it who are brand new to fantasy, they loved it. Absolutely loved it. But when I was reading it, I saw Hunger Games, I saw Divergent, I saw so many other series. I'm like, eh, nope.
well, you know what? I think that people start to learn if they watch your channels. They start to learn who you are as a person in terms of the things that you like, and they can take whatever a rating you might give something with a grain of salt, because they
Hmm.
know who you are or where you're coming from, especially when you express it like you just did. That this might be just beautiful, a great entry point, like Murderbot. there's lots of stuff that's in Murderbot that has been in tons of science fiction literature, but it's a new, interesting way of having the perspective of the robot itself or cyborg itself
Hmm.
um, come across, and there's a lot of humor involved. So it takes a bit of a, it's a mix of science fiction with an interesting hook to how it's done. And I think that I think that people can take what your rate is. And I don't mind actually people arguing too. I don't mind people saying, you missed it. You missed the boat. You didn't actually
Yeah.
get what this novel is about. Or you're wrong. This is a great novel. That's great. I think that that kind of discussion, sometimes if your rating might be off
Mm.
according to other people, that's when you have those great discussions.
Well, and I think that's the lovely thing about doing buddy reads and group reads. And that's the one thing I do miss about being in the schools. Because whether I was in resource or assigned to classrooms and following students, a lot of the time I ended up either being in English classes or supporting students with literacy and reading things. So it was always talking about what was the work you were doing, whether it was a novel or an assignment. And that's what I've been really missing since I left the board is those conversations about, what is it about this book or this character or this setting or this time period? And that's why it's been lovely to find so many booktubers and be able to do things like live streams and buddy reads to have those conversations. I love doing The Handmaid's Tale as a buddy read. I actually did it with um, Dave and Olive, and Vin from Revenant Reads. So it was awesome doing that book with two men and hearing their perspectives and their outrage about some of the things that were happening in this book. So it was like, yeah, I love that experience of being able to have that conversation. And like you say, I don't always want to talk to someone about a book that they agree with me about. So, for example, Akatar and Fourth Wing, I've had a heyday slamming those because I'm not a romance person. But I also love hearing why other people enjoy them and pointing out. And there are so many layers and levels to those books. So they're not, Tinder fire. I know you probably put it down there somewhere, Ven, because you hate Akatar and Feyre. But there's also that level of relationships and families and choices. And are these healthy relationships? Are they abusive relationships? Do you really want to hook up with some dude who's like gnarly to you and you suddenly think he's the whole world? Like, what's the bigger stuff happening in these stories? As just me. Now, Kat's comment library sales. We have this competition going. It's me, Kat, Ven, and Jenny. Who buys the most books in a year? Now, Jenny has
I might
us
beat
all.
you.
Yeah, Jenny has us all beat with her Kindle.
Mm. Oh yeah.
Ven's usually second because he's also a Kindle and book buyer. Kat and I volley for last place because, well, if I go to my thrift store, there's at least 20 coming home with me because the
Okay.
prices are amazing, especially if I find a bunch in the $1 section. Like I found two Stephen Kings, $1 each on a 50% off day. Yeah, they're coming home. I mean, come on. And Cat has even better library sales where they're like pretty much $1 or a quarter or a dime. So she and I have to really keep the tally on our books because one of us wants to be in last place. We're not trying to catch Ven and Jenny.
I volunteer for something called the Children's Hospital Book Market here in Winnipeg. It's been running for
Nice.
65 years. People donate their books to our fire stations and to a business here in
Mm.
Winnipeg. They come to where um, a big basement of the Manitoba archives where we sort these books and then we bring them to a mall every once in a while for sales. And those books are very reasonably priced. Like you're talking a dollar to say a hardcover at $5, and
Mm,
the last sale I think we made $350,000. It's a
sweet.
big thing here in Winnipeg, and so that's a big opportunity in Winnipeg to get books at a
Mm-hmm.
really reasonable price. And of course, we have thrift stores and used bookstores too. Um, I know there's a great. I've been to Tucson, Arizona a few times for vacation, and they have a great library society down there. I actually
Mm,
joined their library just to go to their book sales when I was
nice.
down there. And many places seem to have that. I have a friend in Albuquerque, and we went to his Friends of the Library store. Um, lots of great library stores are out there.
Mm-hmm. Well, we have a Friends of the Library here, but it's downtown. Sketchy, so I don't go there. Store's fine, I'm sure, but mm-mm. And the thrift stores are out of the main part of the city, so as long as I have a ride, I can get there. And I love it because, well, Goodwill I used to go to with some of my students when they were on work placements. So there's just so many wonderful things about Goodwill. There's the training programs, the opportunities. It's a great way to keep things at a landfill, whether that's books, clothing, furniture, what have you. And again, the money from those books goes back into Goodwill and supporting people developing work skills. And some stay working at Goodwill, and others go on because they've got retail experience. So it's a win, win, win for everybody. The books find a new home, so customers get a good price, and the people who work there have so many wonderful opportunities. So yeah, Kat definitely loves her library sales. Paula's made note looking up until after I've read it. Yep. And again, it depends on the book and that, but
Mm,
immersive, there we go. ADHD and dyslexia. Exactly.
that's
Focus
yeah,
and process.
and to a degree, um, one of the things I discovered is when I retired, I realized that I was having a hard time focusing or reading long chunks at a time. It came back
Mm,
with practice, but I think to a certain degree, it's not the same as having ADHD or a neurodivergency of some sort. But all of us, because of our attention focus with
mm,
devices, have a certain amount that we have to overcome, and so we have to find ways of becoming immersive or practicing a deeper focus than we're used to.
yep. And I mean, that was the thing. A lot of my students either had ADHD, ADD, some were ODD, oppositional defiance, combined with some of the other things. And so, and it would always irritate me when I hear that term learning disability. Like I just want to blow my ponytail off. It pisses me off so bad. And I would say to my students, you're not disabled. You have a learning challenge. We need to figure out what works, how we can get this to work for you, but don't ever tell me that you're disabled again because you're not.
I
And
think
yep.
I think that because people think in different and unique ways, the problem is ours because we have an educational system that is one box that
Mm,
doesn't apply to all the different types of people that we have, the different types of beautiful, creative brains that we have.
yep.
And so, because we're trying to squeeze everyone through this box, we're creating our own problems in a lot of ways.
Yep.
They don't have the problem. It's the way we do things that we have a problem with it.
Well, and that's what I would say to the kids. You're not broken. The system you're stuck in is broken,
Yeah.
but you're not.
Yeah.
So, and
And I
that's
think,
why resource rooms were amazing
yeah,
because I get for the teachers, they've got so much material to cover and you got to keep going forward and all that. Whereas in the resource room, you've got a little more wiggle room
yeah.
to get things done. Go ahead.
I was just agreeing with you, and And I think that there has been inroads in this area, and there's even different types of schools with different ways of doing things. Um, I think of some of the sort of more project-based learning type of places that
Mm,
have a variety of ways that a student can be involved. Uh, yeah, I think that there is some progress, but you sometimes, as a parent, if you have a child um, that's struggling, it's sometimes difficult because you may not have choices in your area. Um,
yeah.
so it's an ongoing concern, of course, for our society.
And see, and that's why, again, ponytail, because we used to have vocational schools here, which is where I worked and where I worked in the resource rooms as well as classrooms for a big part of my time. I was in elementary and some of the other secondary schools as well. But the geniuses here shut the vocational schools, which was asinine because, along with all these other things, excuse me, there was a lot of mental health,
Mhm.
anxiety, depression,
Yeah.
the whole range, on top of the learning challenges. And I remember sitting at a graduation, and one student said she was so grateful that she was able to attend the school that she did. It was the vocational school because she knew if she had gone to the other high school, she wouldn't have had near the opportunities. She wouldn't have had friends because, again, a lot of the kids that were coming into these vocational schools had individual education plans, so
Mhm.
specific things to accommodate needs. They had the various issues. They were coming out of either developmental classes or just had issues. So lots of problems with other students they'd already spent 8, 9 years with. And so when they came to these schools, it was a fresh start. You know, they knew some of the people from some of their schools, but it wasn't their old bullies that were following them through. And that's why it really irks me that they closed those buildings. Excuse me, tickle.
Mhm.
Ah,
I've been glancing at the comments here too, and yeah, you're highlighting some there. That's good. We had somebody join us. The bookworm has joined us.
hey, Noah, one of the other chaos gremlins.
Hmm.
Bad tickle. I might have to go get a Hall's allergy throat.
I
But yeah,
see that.
cat, go ahead.
I was just going to see. I see one comment here about how they, if people were struggling to understand, they had smaller classes where they could move faster or be more one-on-one, and that's probably your
Yeah.
resource room too, right? The opportunity, the classrooms that have like 30 to 40 kids in it, that is just crazy in terms of an educational uh, model. And so, yeah, small classrooms, boy, if I mean, obviously, budgets and government come into it, and at least here in Canada, that's how we do that.
Yeah. Well, and the beauty of the resource room, and it was set up different partly because my background is psychology as well. And so the admin knew about my background and supporting students. So the beauty of it was that not only were they coming for academic support and the assistive technology, but I also had some kids who that room was their safe place. So if something was going on in the classroom and it was negotiated with their classroom teachers, if something was going on, like they were going to explode or have an anxiety attack, whatever their particular deals were, they could ask their teacher to be excused and they would come to the resource room. And I had a few kids, and they were the ones with the explosive tempers. And so, they would show up at the door. You could immediately tell by the look on their face, but they each had locations. And so if they showed up at the door and anyone in the room saw them, usually no one was in their spots because we had chairs set up in different locations. They would go, put music on their head. No one said boo to them. And then I would check in later. You ready to talk? Okay, what's going on? Let's work this out. Okay, can you go back to class? Do you want to stay here? And that always saved a few lockers in the hallway from, fists going, which did sometimes happen, but it's not a perfect world. We
This,
do what we can.
this conversation reminds me of a great science fiction novel. I would say a classic, and I bet you've heard of it. Flowers for Algernon.
See, I don't think I've read it, but
Oh,
someone was just recently talking about it, and I'm not sure if I could read it without crying my heart out
well, what's wrong with that?
because I don't like doing that.
Well, I think it's worth it. I mean, it's written in the 1960s. It won one of the best novel awards. Daniel Keyes is the author. Number of
Mm,
schools use it. It's been used in the 8th grade in schools. By the way, that's where I first met John Wyndham. Was learning Day of the Triffids in grade 9. And that's where
nice.
I started to look for his books because I go, wow, this was awesome. This was in school. I really enjoyed this really for
Yeah.
myself. But I'm not sure. I can't remember exactly if terms have changed from the 60s to now. But it's about a person who had at that time they would call it a low IQ or other
Yeah.
names, and they developed a drug that they were testing that increased that person's IQ,
Mm,
and they start to discover how they've actually been treated, and they start to surpass people in intelligence. And I
mm,
don't think I can go further with it, but it's a definite classic. It's been made into a movie probably a couple times, but there was one called Charlie, I think in the 1960s as well. But
hmm.
for people who are interested in sort of some of the things you were talking about, I think that that's a great science fiction read.
Yeah, I think I know the other channel where I've recently heard about it does mention what happens to the mice,
Yeah,
shall
let's
we
not talk
say.
about that here.
Yeah, and yeah,
What can
that's why
people
I
attend?
think it would be a hard read for me.
Yeah.
Um,
By the way, Algernon is a mouse, and they were doing mice trial ahead of doing a person trial, and so we'll leave it at that.
yeah,
There's a connection there, of course.
yeah. Paul's saying, does that mean we have to think about what we define as science fiction?
Some people call it even speculative fiction.
Hmm,
I think that good science fiction
dystopian.
reflects on that authors now,
Mm,
whether what the world is, what the world is becoming, or what looks they see, how things could play out, is another way of thinking of science fiction. The
mm,
fantasy portion of it was something like that as well, but with fantasy, it sort of was a combination in some ways of science fiction, hero kind of fiction, and fairy tales. And fairy
mm.
tales has been huge forever, right?
Yeah,
And so it's a even horror kind of blends into there too. So science fiction can be a very large genre that welcomes all sorts of literatures. We were talking about A Handmaid's Tale. I think it was
yeah,
Constance that posted or put here that is dystopian.
yeah,
Dystopian literature is part of that family of science fiction or speculative fiction. So
yeah. Because
you were asking me how it's narrowed as a niche. It's actually really large. There's a lot
yeah,
you can go with it.
and that's an excellent point because you think, and I've yet to read it, but Captain Makeup won the election, so I can't finish Brave New World right now. I started it before the election, and I'm like, yeah, no, pretty sure we've entered the Brave New World, and we'll see what happens.
I
But
just recently read a really great dystopian one, which some people call the first great dystopian one, written in 1920 to 21 by
hmm,
a Russian. who had come out of World War One, and then they were having the Russian Revolution. It's called We by Zevgeny Zamyatin, and people lived in literally in glass houses and
Mm.
were observed and were scheduled to the minute what they had to do, and it was part of the science connected with oh anyways, there was a philosopher, Jeremy Bentham, in the 1800s that developed something for the prison system called the panopticon, which was a guard tower in the middle of a round prison so that
Mm.
prisoners didn't know if somebody was watching them or not. And they would most often act like somebody was watching them.
Yeah.
Kind of our surveillance society now. That's the
Mm.
idea of this glass city as well. And it's a fascinating one. It's actually Russian literature can be somewhat poetical, and I really enjoyed it. I recommend that one. It's just we. Um,
I'll have to check that out.
yeah,
And I know I've
and I bet
heard,
it's in the library. I'm sure that one will be in the library.
definitely check it out. A number of people have talked about it in relation to
Yeah,
1984.
that's
Because some
because
people,
Orwell. It was part of the or his um, inspiration. He read it before he wrote it.
yeah, that's what I've heard people say. I haven't got there yet, but I have heard a number of people mention that one as well.
Yeah, and it's before
And
Brave New World as well.
yeah, cat skipping to catch up again. Tisk tisk, you cheater. Hurts less when I drop my phone on myself.
Yeah, I'd knock myself out
Yeah,
with this one.
yeah, especially with some of the hardback.
Yeah,
Bump the glasses and oh, only read Patterson, but liked him. Oh, James Rowland. Yeah, I think my husband reads him too.
I've
Audio
read some
really,
of his.
yeah. The narrator does indeed make a difference.
It's like actors, right? Good actors make even a bad script interesting. I think narrators can
Exactly.
do that for books too.
Yeah, I mean, Carrie, which I read when it first came out. So we were probably reading King about the same time, just
Yeah,
different
well, we're
provinces.
basically the same age, so yeah.
Yeah. And so I remember when Carrie came out reading it, the movie Sissy Spacek. And it's not one I decided to rebuy. I haven't seen it at the thrift store, although I've rebought a bunch of King's books because I actually got rid of all my fiction books a number of years ago on a big clearing thing.
I think
Yeah, and I've rebought several, so I don't unhaul books ever anymore.
I think that's a common story for booktubers.
Exactly. But I did get Carrie through Libby because, again, King banned books. They're pretty much all banned. And it was narrated by Sissy Spacek.
Hmm.
Loved, I mean, again, audiobooks I don't typically enjoy, but having Sissy Spacek read it, I mean, Sissy Spacek is Carrie for those of us from a certain age. I know they've redone it, and I get why because the world has changed so quick, so much. Even I loved watching MacGyver. Richard, is it Richard Dean Anderson? Yeah.
Yep.
Amazing, even though he started on the soaps, General Hospital. But MacGyver, love that show. Tried to watch it a little while ago because it was available on Prime. I'm like, dude, where's your cell phone? Where's this? No, it just doesn't work in this world anymore because things are so different, right?
You know, whenever I watch old shows, some really stand up well. I mean, you have to also be in a mood where you kind of slow yourself down because they
Yeah.
don't go as fast as things do today. Same with old movies. But I always find it interesting. What's a timeless show versus what really ages poorly, and it's like impossible to watch anymore.
Mm,
And and that happens with science fiction or anything, detective shows, etc. And so I always that's an interesting one to me. And when I
yeah.
read old science fiction novels too, what is something that feels like it's fresh and it could have been written today, but it was written in 1930? That's an
Mm.
amazing skill that an author has to do something like that.
Yeah, definitely. Well, I'm thinking ageless, anything with Vincent Price. I don't
Mm.
care how lame the movie is. If it's got Vincent with that voice, it's ageless.
One of my favorite TV shows of all time is from 1959 to 1964, The Twilight Zone. An
Ah, yeah. Oh,
anthology of stories, and
Gareth.
so yeah, we've talked about it briefly, Gareth and I as well. Uh, it yeah, it just holds up so well, and the black and white is so um, expressive as a medium in
Mm,
visuals as well. Uh, I know that that might still be something that, because I've seen it in the past, it still holds up for me. I don't know
mm,
if newer viewers would feel that about that old show. It's kind of like the old Star Trek too. The old Star Trek in the '60s is something with the chemistry and the goofy special effects and sometimes
yep,
weird scripts, but it just held up so well for me because that chemistry was there in the
yep.
relationship of the characters. Um, which, I mean, Strange New Worlds is pretty good. Um,
Mm.
but it never was that first one that came out in the middle of the '60s. And that's where I guess I don't necessarily connect all that well with younger readers sometimes because of that viewpoint.
But I agree. And I mean, we've got book track going on until August. And I just read Sarek. I found that at the thrift store. Enjoyed that read. Well, kind of did. Um, A.C. Crispin, I think, is the author. And Mark Leonard, the actor who played Sarek, actually read it, enjoyed it. I found I wanted to know more about Sarek. I wanted to know more about Spock's brother before Amanda, but they didn't really get into that. And it's funny because, of course, I'm reading things out of order. It turns out that Sarek is immediately after the Undiscovered Country, which I
Mm.
just found the novelization of. If I remember correctly, but it's in the other room, I think the novel was written after the movie, and I do have both the original and Next Generation box sets of movies because, yep, I'm that nerd. Although I don't have my Enterprise anymore, it's gone, but you know. Um, so I'm curious to see how the book connects with the movie and whether it's going to answer some of the things that I'm like, what now? As I was reading Sarah, because, but yeah, for me, it's the original Star Trek. I mean, TNG had some okay things, well, other than the empath who was always stating the obvious. But, you know, other than that, they had data.
I knew a person who was related to somebody who created, I'm not sure if it was a wiki, but it was like all the facts about Star Wars when the internet first came out in the '90s, before
What?
the second set of trilogies were made. And Lucasfilms hired him on to be a continuity person for all their novels, films, and TV shows. And I just thought that was amazing. This fan
Yeah.
started this and had kept track of the canon of what was going on. And then they needed him to make sure that things were right for the new things that were coming out. What
Nice.
a great transition from fan into being part of the crew, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, there
Yeah.
you go, not knowing where your interest is going to lead, right? That's
Yeah.
awesome. Why
Yeah.
don't I ever think of things like that? But so Constance is saying they do have Libby in
Ah,
the
okay.
US. Kat saying it's been helpful. I know Kat had Libby, has Libby. Not a lot of genres physically at my library. And that's the other thing is, of course, it's tied in to a library. Now, some are lucky enough that a couple of libraries contribute to. I know here in my area, it's just the one as well, sadly.
All the libraries in Winnipeg are linked. So You can
Sweet.
just request a book from somewhere. I know there's other libraries that are even rural libraries that can get books sent to them too. So
Yep.
there's a lot of interlibrary loans, I think is what they would call it.
Yeah.
Nice
See here.
talking. Yeah.
Yeah, here in this city, we've got, I think, 15, maybe 16 branches, and you can borrow from any of those branches, but it's all from that one grouping. Like, I can't borrow from, say, Toronto
Mhm.
or Windsor. They're not. And they used to be connected, and then some douchebag hacked into the library systems a couple years ago, both London and Toronto. And I think it was after that they kind of kept things separate. I don't That didn't have anything to do with the hacking, but they just kept things separate. So
Usually it's a
ice
political
hockey,
decision, I think, right? Because our libraries are funded by government.
yeah.
Yeah.
So Paula knows about Winnipeg from hockey.
One of the famous things that Winnipeg has now is the Human Rights Museum. We were talking about Tyrrell
Mm.
Museum in Drumheller. Our
Yeah.
national museum is the Human Rights Museum. And so there's a lot of good events and things that are happening with that.
Mm. That's awesome. So in the United Kingdom, some have libraries borrow box.
Never
Don't
heard of
do a good
Borobox.
job.
Mhm.
Yeah, it must be the same
Yeah,
type of thing. Love more videos with in-depth analysis. Okay, good to know. Well, there are some that I do deep dives on,
yeah.
and I'm never going to be massive, and that's okay. I'm good with that because I don't need the trolls finding me. But I always, in my thumbnails, put what book I'm talking about. Like
Mhm.
that'll be my thumbnail. And I show, I'll hold up the book. I don't do this.
I don't either.
I'm not a
I did
mystery
try at the
reader.
beginning, but not
Yeah.
I don't
I'm
try to
not a
hide that now.
mystery reader, and it's like, show me the money. If I'm going to click, I want to know what I'm clicking on.
Yeah.
That's that's just me.
I'll try to have some sort of a hook or some sort of a interesting question or something to bring them in. Um, what was that previous comment? There was something I was going to say about that.
The
Uh,
in-depth analysis
there
or
we
a
go.
different one?
Yes, I have a buddy. If you like science fiction, fantasy, or even fairy tales, um, his he has a channel named Liminal Spaces. His name is Chris, and he is really good at doing in depths. He'll actually do sort of just a regular one with no spoilers, and then the next video after that will be an in depth in that book. And so that's a model he uses that I think he does very well.
Liminal spaces, right?
Liminal spaces. Yeah.
I don't know how to do links yet, but I'll put that in there so that people can find. I do know I've seen Chris in a couple of different live streams. I think I'm
Yeah.
actually subbed already.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's
Yeah,
good to
he's
know.
a great guy to just chat with too. He's someone you'd like to chat with someday, I'm sure.
Awesome. Yeah, I'll definitely have to keep that in mind because I'm always looking for new guests and I have return guests. And yeah, it's been fun. And it's always nice having guests because then you don't end up having to talk for the whole 2 hours. And the conversation goes everywhere. Channels do spoiler free and spoiler for the same book. Okay, yep.
I
So
think
like
Constance talking
Chris.
about what I'm talking about there.
One of my favorite even mentions Murderbot. There you go.
And if you're thinking, oh, it's going to be all about murder, it's actually kind of a robot that's come into sentience and has hacked himself so he's not necessarily controlled by his owners, I guess I'll say. So
Mm,
but he is insecure in some ways. It's a very interesting mix, and he calls himself Murderbot. Um, and it's not even a he; it's kind of like an androgynous person, although in the TV series it's portrayed by a male,
mm,
without gender parts.
yeah.
um,
Sort of like Wally. I've never seen
oh
Wally either.
no, it's very different from Wally.
But in terms of, it's a guy.
Well,
Just seem to
it's a
think it's a
humanoid
guy.
form, but there's a lot of humor in there. So if murder worries you, There is some violence in the show, but uh, it's more about this person or this cyborg creation becoming their own person and trying to discover things, almost like a teenager trying to discover life
Hmm,
as an adult.
excellent. Now, this, because yes, Ven hates The Alchemist. Like,
I don't
doesn't
know it.
just dislike. It's a Paulo Coelho book, short read. It's about a young man named Santiago, follows his dreams, takes the journey, gets sidetracked, but learns the skills he needs, and it all ends good. Not necessarily as expected. And Ven's just like, and I'm like, it's an awesome read. It's amazing. How can you not like Santiago's journey? So, yeah, we keep joking that between constantly talking about Akatar and The Alchemist, and we joke back and forth about who hates which one the most.
This sounds like a Life of Pi kind of book.
Sarah J. Mass and Paulo Coelho should be paying us royalties because we have drummed up a lot of business for those two.
Yeah.
If you search for analysis in a book title, find some. Enjoy academics, lots of them on classic works.
Oh, you can find things, definitely. But I do read a lot of obscure science fiction, and that's not as much out there.
Mm, I have not started Discovery of Witches again yet, Kat. It's somewhere back there in the pile, and I'll get there. Not commenting on The Alchemist. Okay, read. Oh, okay. All Souls trilogy.
Don't know it.
Don't know that one either. Oh, bye, Leslie. And I scrolled down too. We've also bye to Gavin. Bye, Leslie. Bye, Leslie. Loved Goodwill when there was one close by. Yep. See, now it's a good thing I don't drive anymore because mine's maybe a 10 to 15-minute car drive away. I'd have to find a big box for all my books because I'd be always shopping.
You need one of
Device
those
free.
adult tricycles
Yeah.
with a big box in there.
Love physical, great for work. Yeah. Well, and again, if you're going somewhere, you can just carry it in your hand.
Travel.
I
You can't have a suitcase full of books if you're just traveling. It's easier to have it on a Kindle or an iPad or something.
Exactly. Well, I always love the stink eye at my doctor's office. First, we'll say, and sorry, Gavin, you're probably already gone. And I'm going to have this for Noah. Hey, Noah, who just hates my book murdering with a passion. As in, I use highlighters, I make
Oh,
notes, I break spines, I dog ear pages
yep.
to, and
You
I
make sure
have
they're well
sticky
loved.
tabs. You have to get into the story. It's how I engage. And because I take books if I'm going for appointments or whatever, I see no point of just sitting there. So
I
I
always
always,
bring one too.
yep, I have a book, my highlighters, my pens, and I'm sitting there and I'm highlighting and I'm writing. And other people might be scrolling on their phones and some look over and I'm thinking, I own the book. So you just put that judgy face away. I don't do this in library books. People who do it to library books just tick me off.
I
So
can't
people
think.
are,
I think someone looking at a phone can't be judgy about it.
yeah, exactly. It's like you're just jealous because you can't annotate. Lucky in that, where I went, split us up, seemed bored versus struggling, put us in a smaller class. Yeah. And that's one reason I wish we had the vocational schools again. Everyone's saying hi. Oh, poor cat's missing Jenny because they create chaos together.
If we go
Saying
back to what you
hi.
just said, I think that's my favorite part of this so far. That the people are jealous because they can't annotate or something like that.
Yeah,
They don't know what they're missing.
exactly. Well, see, Noah can't pick up, and I've actually done a book murder video. I really need to get around to doing part two because I'm upping the game now, using them for crafts and tearing pages out and making journals and such. And I know Noah's screaming in his apartment right now. The gasp. Um,
There's another Canadian YouTuber who will crack the book right on screen, and I think he even made a T-shirt about it. Oh,
oh,
I
really?
think he's in Ontario. I'm trying to remember what his name was. He's fairly recent, and he does sort of like a vlog of his life, and has some younger kids. Oh, if I remember the name, I'll mention it later.
Awesome. Or you can always email me later too.
Sure. Well, I'm thinking for the viewers here, they'll.
Yeah. Okay, so Paul, not diagnosed till college. So
Mm.
much difference. Yeah. Love a reading, knew how to adapt. Exactly.
I have a 30-year-old son who has a diagnosis, and it's made a huge difference with the medicine that they've given him.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well, and that's it. Like, once you can put a name to it and then figure things out, it does make a world of difference.
yeah,
It does a bit boogle my brain because, and again, we grew up in the same time. In our time, you did everything to not stand out in school. You didn't want any letters or anything after your name. I mean, like Ron James said, when things were happening in school, the teacher would look at you and it'd be like, damn, I think there's something wrong with that kid. And that would kind of be the end of it, right? Whereas now it's almost like it's a badge of honor for some people. It like you need the diagnosis, you need to understand. But now it seems to be the opposite, that you're kind of the oddball if you don't have the letters after your name. It's really switched around.
I'm just glad that things are out in the open. I feel that way about LGBTQ plus and all those sort of things. Um, when you and I were growing up, things were hidden,
Oh
and
yeah.
I think that we're just much healthier now. That things are open, or that people are recognizing and finding solutions to help people cope with things that they're finding difficult.
Well, and that they can talk about it and
Exactly. Yeah.
not have to be afraid of saying something or be afraid of being who they are.
Exactly.
And there's so many other options and opportunities out there, because you're right, when we were growing up, I don't even remember an educational assistant in our buildings. And granted, I went to a school in a small town, but we had over 700 plus students, and
Oh, I went
there
to
were
smaller
no
schools than that.
programs. Oh,
I went to a school where our elementary was in elementary from K to 6 was two classes, grade 1 to 3, grade 4 to 6 were in two classrooms, and then the kindergartens would come in at a certain other time to come in and have some education. So there would probably be about 20 of us in the three grades.
wow.
Yeah.
That is tiny. I mean, I thought my elementary was small, and that was from kindergarten to grade 8, and maybe 200 kids at the most. Like my grade 8 graduating class had, I think there were 12 or 13 of us. That was it. That was the whole grade 8 class.
Yeah.
And
We
a
couldn't,
very, a
we
very
couldn't help but
different
have small
time.
classes in some ways because of the population, but you learned uh, what do they call it now? A split classroom. Can you
Mm.
imagine a split classroom across three grades?
Uh,
That's what it was. So we learned how to do work independently.
yeah. Yeah, and it really has changed. Well, and even with, because, and awesome, she figured it out when we were in grade 8 and mentioned it at her speech at our graduation. We ended up having one teacher for 5 years.
Mm.
She was our grade 3 4 teacher. We had a grade 5 teacher. Then she had left for some reason. They made a grade 6 7 8 split. So our grade 3 4 teacher came up with us. We're like, are you kidding us? Like, none of us got along. So why, in the name of divinity, she followed us for 5 years was beyond us. And here she's standing at our graduation. It might not have been the best idea. We're sitting there going, "You think?"
I'm curious. Did you have to sing "O Canada" and "God Save the Queen" in elementary school?
Oh, Canada.
Okay, we did both.
No, well, we just had to sing "Oh Canada," and because I went to a Catholic school. I'm trying to think if we had to say the Lord's Prayer in the morning. I know we had to go to church once a week. I think Friday our day was adjusted, and we ended up going to church. So yeah, different times for sure.
I also remember, I think it was 1972, where uh, we Canadians were playing the Russians in hockey, and
Hmm.
I remember watching a hockey game in school because it was so important, and that was crazy trying to get that technology to work in 1972, getting the CBC, perhaps it was, television station with the aerial and all sort of things to work, but we all had to watch it. And for people who don't know, it was a national moment when Canada beat the Russia in that series.
There you go. Well, and here's how wild my family is about their sports. Whenever we had weddings, and my background's Hungarian, so they were huge weddings because everybody you knew got invited. But if there was a sports game, there was a TV in the corner of the hall. Everyone else was doing their dancing, whatever, or as they were doing the speeches through the meal, there would be announcements of what the scores were. And later in the evening, people were all floating over to the table. It's like, I've never been a big sports person, but some of them were big time. So, Kat saying glad about the diagnosis and finding new strategies, because that definitely is a big part of it.
Huge.
I also agree. Read to be happy. Yucky real world for other emotions. Yups. Now, Ginger. Cat is a huge fairy tale fan, loves her retelling,
Oh,
does readings on Mondays that are hilarious because, of
if
course, there's side comments.
if you haven't found Liminal Spaces, he actually, I believe, has a master's in terms of fairy tales. Like he's a prof as well,
Wow.
or at a college. So check out Liminal Spaces.
Yeah, definitely. Because Cat is big time fairy tale. Now, I did some fairy tale readings on Fridays. I may eventually get back to it. Um, where was I going with that? Liminal spaces, fairy tales.
I
Suddenly, I have a find mart, mind fart.
I should also mention the word mythology. I think that's partially what his
That's
thesis
cool.
was about: fairy tales and mythology.
Oh, that's what I was. Thank you.
Yeah,
See, now this is why you need guests so that that mind fart can work its way through. So the book that I read from is actually my book as a kid.
mm,
So it's older than some of the people who watch me reading from the book. And it's awesome. Kat has a much huger collection, bigger collection. And I actually saw an immaculate, pristine copy at my thrift store and I almost picked it up. And then I'm like, no, wait a minute. I'm listening to Kat read these. I don't need this.
oh, that wouldn't
Yes,
have stopped me.
my code word, Captain Makeup. That's not going to be any AI finding me or, icy people coming. Is Price? No, he is not my Henry Cavill. He just has that amazing horror voice that is awesome. And I actually, because I just finished reading Hell House by Matheson for the second time, I
I've read it.
find. Did
I
you
found that
like
one.
it?
Nope, I found it very disturbing.
Really?
Yeah,
Oh, see, I loved it.
I love a
Now,
lot of Matheson work. But by the way, he's a science fiction writer too.
there we
Incredible
go.
Shrinking Man.
Yeah, I haven't read that, and
Oh, the
I'm not
Shrinking Man.
reading I'm Legend because I know what happens
I
with the
Am
dog.
Legend. Yeah.
But I also read Shirley Jackson's The Haunting of Hill House, because
Yeah.
everybody's been chatting about it, and I knew it was an older book. It was on my radar. I found it, yay, for under $4 at Indigo, which makes me happy. I did not like that at all. At all. But I loved Hell House.
Okay.
And because I know they're right behind me here, I just found this and just finished it. The Hellfire Club. I am willing to bet Matheson either knew about these people or read about these people before he wrote Hell House. And for anyone who isn't familiar, this is the Epstein, Trump, Musks of the 1700s. Just saying.
Doesn't sound like a read I'd want to read.
No, you probably don't. There's some, I mean, it's nonfiction, so it's historical, and the people involved explain some things about how the American Revolution happened, how politicians get away with certain things, and they had some really bizarre habits and hobbies, shall we say. And needless to say, some of their junk got, gnarly.
Yeah.
We'll leave it at that because it was a different time period. Take a look at the okay, so there's a message. I put up liminal spaces. Paul is saying thank you. Also, okay, Discovery of Witches trilogy. There we go. Well, I still need to read Discovery of Witches. Book murder. Now, according to my library, they said book 2 wasn't worth it. Book 3 was good, but I haven't got there yet. So, Paula, I'm curious to know what you think about them. Don't forget, love tap. Thank you. Hitting that like button.
I can't stand the breaking of spines, and the only books I highlight usually are non-fictions that I know I just wanted for reference purposes find stuff, but I will not do that to my fiction books.
No, I treat them all equally. Yeah. I love them all the same.
That's fine. Now, I'm just saying where I'm at.
Yep. Now, having said that, there are a number of my fiction books that I have annotated and highlighted because there's different things with characters and whatnot. One I will not annotate is Blackwater by Michael McDowell.
Don't know.
Southern Gothic horror. I may have In the Amulet or Cold Moon over Babylon. I'm not sure. Read him when I was in my teens. Went out of print. Just came back into print, I think, 2012. So again, don't unhaul books because there's no guarantees. And in my little dinky library back in Tillsonburg, they had 4 out of the 6 small books that were Blackwater. Like they were originally published as 6 little mini books, about less than 200 pages each. But my library only had 4 of the 6. I never knew how the series ended. And then I got into reading other stuff like King and Kuntz and Straub and all these other people, and then got into more nonfiction and really moved away from fiction and read the odd King or somebody here and there and Rice. And then I decided I wanted to read McDowell again. So thankfully found them all on Amazon. I know people have a bugaboo with it. People have bugaboos with every company. So you got to make your own choices and do what works for you. But my husband, bless his heart, bought me Blackwater in one big book. I read that sucker in 2 days because I've waited over 45 years. Waited over 40 plus almost 45 years to know how it ended. So I was like, it's one advantage to being home, right? No vacuuming or dusting done, but I know how Blackwater ended. But that one, it's one of the few. And I actually got a sprayed edge Edgar Allan Poe. So I might annotate in my other Edgar Allan Poe because it's just a plain copy with all the stories, but I will not annotate in the sprayed edges one. Like that one, pretty.
Yeah. Well, some books are art, and so you don't mess with art.
Exactly. So they're teasing Noah about him and his book, an experience, never get back. Yeah, he's reading a book that's very difficult.
Mm.
Now, Kat, annotating makes it feel like studying. Keep your notes out of my books. Had to take revenge going through reading the book. See, I knew he was gasping. Legasp indeed. That was going to be about me pulling pages out. Fourth grade class, bigger than your school. And it was one of three. Yeah, see, and this is what I find. Well, even chatting between provinces, haven't met anyone from the territories yet, but maybe someday. But chatting with people from the other provinces, from other countries, again, school, all these things are such a different experience, right? I love it learning about different things. My grade made up of 5 classes of 30. Holy jump.
You have to realize I was in a very small rural community before I moved to Winnipeg, and so it was just about distance, and I guess it was about funding at that time in the 60s and 70s. The funding was there for the small schools in the prairies.
Think 30, 35. Oh,
yeah.
Regular class. Oh, geez. Regular classes were 40. How do you fit that many kids in a room?
Yeah, it's just not optimal.
No. One for the original Grimm fairy tales.
My kids, I had a book that was my book when I was a kid that had the Grimm fairy tales, the real ones, not the sanitized version. And when my kids found that book, they ate it up. They they loved how grim it really was.
Well, and they were called Grimm's fairy. There's a reason, and they served.
Oh no, they're brother Grimms that told the fairy tales. I think that's the reason. But they were grim as well as a pun.
Yeah. Fair, all a joke. Books are loved either way. Still book murderers. Highlight passages make me giggle. Refuse to do it in physical books.
That's the advantage of a Kindle, is you can do that kind of highlighting and it doesn't mess up a book.
Cat, Kuntier, King Evil. He's always mean to doggies. And the bad thing is, because I tend to avoid anything with animal issues in them, it's a bad thing and a bad memory from childhood, I finally figured out. But so I will tend to avoid any of that type of thing. And yet poor Cat, because of course I've reread some of King Salem's Lot, The Dead Zone, and
but
Thinner.
Not Pet Sematary, right?
Well, and growing up, I read Cujo. I could manage that. And Old Yeller. I think Old Yeller almost did me in.
Oh, how about Where the Red Fern Grows?
No, I have not read that one.
That one's even more,
yeah.
2 tissues or a tissue box full than Old Yeller.
Yeah, don't think it. No, that won't be one. And I won't be reading The Outsider because I've heard there's lots of animal gruesomeness out in the woods. But yeah, in Salem's Lot, I think I just blacked out the scene with the dog. So I forgot about it. And thankfully, unlike The Dead Zone, it doesn't keep getting mentioned over and over again because that was brutal. And I forgot about something in Thinner, and Cat's like, you people said there, and it's like, whoops. Because I keep zoning out about those parts. I think I just try and pop them out of my head.
I think that happens with movies too. You forget sometimes about objectionable content in a movie because you like the rest of the story.
Because there was other stuff there. And
Yeah.
yeah, I think exactly that. Waited my whole life for the end of a book with some serious patience.
That is one long cliffhanger.
Only read the first. Okay. Loved watching the oh, see, I didn't like the series. I didn't like the person they picked. And yeah, I've only read the first one as well, Paula. So we'll figure this out together. Tried to make it. Oh, cried, refused. Yep.
It. I have to say though, it's a great, great novel. I loved it. I don't. That's one of those areas where I don't mind the connection that people make to animals and to see. Boy, I'm not wanting to spoil where the red fern grows now for people, but
Yeah.
that connection and how the loyalty and love of the animal uh, plays out in the plot that's going on in the book. Um, and I think people can guess. Obviously, something tragic must happen, and that's
Mm.
why people are talking about it this way. But it's a beautiful relationship.
I think so. And I think that's part of why I tend to avoid, and it's gotten worse since I've gotten older. I used to be like I say, I read Cujo, I read Old Yeller. I'm probably one of the few kids who doesn't know how most of the Disney movies on Sundays ended. Because Wonderful World of Disney.
Yep.
And as soon as something happened to the animal, the living room air went blue, and I was on my way to my room to finish another book. Because,
So I'm guessing you haven't watched The Lion King.
I did.
There's something pretty bad happens to the dad.
I know. And I was older, and Bambi
Yeah, that
was.
happens pretty fast in Bambi too.
But the older I get, the harder I find being, especially if it's a dog or cat, because we used to have dogs and we have cats. So
yeah.
There were things from way back, and someone stole one of our dogs, which is when my issues with humanity began. Because there were a lot of other things happening, and we'll just leave it at that. Let's just say I wasn't born with a spoon in my mouth and everything was happy and la 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 la. So the fact that someone would do that to a child in the midst of all this other turmoil was like, humanity sucks. And so my connection has always been to the animals. So if there's anything done to them by a human, I'm pretty sure I just go back to that time period, and the rage just, it's like, no.
What if it's not done by a human?
What do you mean? By another animal?
Yeah.
As in nature.
Yeah.
Is how nature works.
Yeah.
Checks and balances. Doesn't mean I want to watch it.
Yeah.
But that's different.
Mm-hmm.
Right? I mean, if a hawk comes in the yard and gets
cruelty,
my
it's
bunny,
just nature. Yeah.
Yeah. They got to eat. Yeah. Isis and Sheena, because I have pictures of a red tail and a Cooper. Isis, Sheena got to eat. Doesn't mean I want to see them snatch any of the birds, but that's nature. When it's malicious and intentional,
yeah,
nah. I can't do it. Let's see. I know Ben had to go because he's up at 5 a.m. No, Animal Farm. Yeah, hated it. Reread, more context, experienced reader. Yeah, see,
that's that upon further review type of thing, right? As you change and grow as a person, as a reader, then you can see things in different lights.
And that's it. And that's, I think, why I enjoy rereads.
Mm-hmm.
especially when it's been decades later. Like Wyndham, I read as a teen, still love them now in my, would have been my late 50s when I reread them. And again, you get that different perspective because the world's changed, your life experience. It's a very different read. Same with some of the stuff with King and the different layers to his stories. 30 scene makes me cry every time. Walk out when I rewatch. Know it's coming. I'm guessing that's Redfern. Bambi, first film I saw. Oh, wow.
Oh, Buchdeckel. That's our friend from Germany, or my friend from Germany, at least.
Nice.
Yeah.
Thanks for joining. And Diane popping in. Hello. Still, yeah, I can't watch Bambi either, Paula. It's nature. Still should have warnings. Think it's going to be cute. Then that happened. Yeah. David Attenborough giving a nice scenic picture first. Yeah, and that is a bit of a challenge for sure. And I don't know. I mean, now people get warnings with books because so many different things can happen. I know we didn't have them growing up. It was like, here, let's see what this does to you. Good luck with that. Oh, you've got trauma counseling? You don't need counseling. Suck it up.
I understand the desire to try to be transparent about this with a person who has a sensitivity, but sometimes that also is and I'm not saying it shouldn't be done, but sometimes it's a big plot spoiler to say that if you have a sensitivity to this, maybe you shouldn't read this book.
For sure. Kat, I'm not putting up your trauma story with the deer. Richard will read it, but I'm not.
I'm reading it right now.
You Germans today, Brother Grimm.
I grew up on a farm. We ate animals that we knew. Yeah.
Yeah. See, that I couldn't do. But my dad did, butchered pigs, and I can still see it in the roadway. Sometimes being visual is bad, and cutting it up.
Some people go vegetarian sausage. Or vegan is that the visual of what happens to animals in that process is horrifying.
Yeah. Well, and I mean, my grandmother took care of the chickens. It was, and again,
it kind of was just part of life as a farm kid, but
it was part of life, but it was also how it was done.
Yeah.
Again, it wasn't this malicious big conveyor belt.
Okay, yeah, I see where you're going.
It was survival. It was with gratitude. It was with honoring and being grateful for the life. And see, to me, it gets more complex because I also believe plants are sentient. So to me, what you do to a plant, ripping it out of the ground, is no different than the animal. But if you honor what you're eating and you are grateful, more like Avatar. I see eating like Avatar. You honor and you say thank you. You take a moment before you start consuming and you give thanks for everything on your plate, whether that's grain, meat, dairy, minerals like salt, whatever. Because again, it's like nature. You can't survive without eating. And in order to eat, something has been sacrificed for you to survive.
More of an indigenous look at things, and some other more ancient cultures in terms of honoring the life and planet around you.
Yep.
Oh, I see a comment coming up. Just above that one.
Okay. Oh, the Germans today?
Yeah. Brother Graham, kindergarten. I didn't think about kindergarten is definitely is a German word.
Yeah, that's true.
There's a lot of German words incorporated into English, as well as some other language incorporated into English, French as well. And so it's
Yeah,
very interesting to see how some of those words play out.
that is neat.
Yep. Guten
Ah, there.
Tag, Birkdal.
And Paul is, yeah, counselor for 7 years. Nice.
Cool.
Why I can't have a farm, even if I had the money. Can't eat my pets. They'd all get names and snuggles. Yeah, I'm the same. Even though I grew up with and new farmers, all that kind of thing, it's not. I mean, I have a hard time killing an ant when I'm doing yard work, for Pete's sake. So anything else, I'm grateful for the people who can do that job because I couldn't. And having to go into a meat cutting class when I worked in high schools was not good. But I had to do it because it was my job.
Well, Paula's making that point too, to know where
Yeah.
food comes from.
Yep.
Um,
Go ahead.
I was just saying, it. This is where I love that there's a diversity of opinion and a diversity of diets. Even it's good to understand where people are coming from, even if it's not the place you're going to come from. And I like that part of discussions when you can have those kind of discussions and not something that's just saying you're wrong, you should be vegan, or you're wrong, meat is something that's important in your diet or whatever. I'm glad it's not that way, that we just understand each other and look at these things together.
Exactly. And I think that's it, is again, you have to go with what fits and what makes sense for you and appreciate it may not make sense for somebody else. Nighty night, Noah. Noah's in the UK as well.
Yeah, it's getting pretty late there, isn't it? What are we at now?
5 o'clock,
Yeah.
so it would
It's
be
about 10
10
o'clock
o'clock.
their time.
Yeah.
Yep.
Didn't know where milk come from. Finding out what pepperoni really are is gross surprise. Yeah, no kidding. I remember when I saw they made hot dogs, I'm like, oh, I'm gonna, yeah, and I still eat them, but it was a bit horrifying in the beginning. English is Germanic in nature, as in its origins. Nighty night, bye bye, nighty night. And yeah, we've been over 2 hours.
Mm-hmm.
And we did talk science fiction. See, like I
Of
said,
course
we
we
go
did.
all over the place. And,
Yeah.
Now, here is one person I'm surprised with Star Trek. And I haven't read this. Have you? It's by Alan Dean Anderson.
Foster.
Foster.
I have not read it. I don't remember ever seeing that book or that title.
Something strange and wonderful is happening down at the chemical dump. Nah. I have a few of his
Radiation and
other
chemicals.
Star
Boy, we have a lot of monsters from those.
Trek. Where would we be without the chemical dumps? But we did come to that point, and an excellent one is, science fiction. There is a huge spiral out to other books as well. It isn't a very tight niche.
It's not all ray guns and rocket ships.
Yeah. His channel is Vintage SF.
Yeah.
Paula, he's got, and I'll take that
Right
down.
behind my name there, yeah.
Yep.
Remember, it's not San Francisco.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much to everyone for joining us tonight. Richard, thank you so much for your time. This has been fun, and
yeah,
we covered a lot of territory.
Thank you. It was fun. A lot of good conversation. A lot of good conversation with our posters here, commenters here too.
Yeah, I am so blessed with my live streams and interaction. Lovely people. Everyone welcomes when someone new comes in. It was hilarious. The one time we had somebody just randomly come in. They, I guess, are usually on Twitch. And they're like, oh, are you on Twitch? And I'm like, no. And they're like, oh, well, I was just popping in. And everyone, hey, how you doing? And they hung around for the whole stream. It was awesome. That was it. But yeah, it's amazing. And I do think Gareth and Dave are live tonight. And I do think Gareth fell asleep because bless his heart. I'm so looking forward to this. But
That's okay, Gareth, if you're watching now later, that's fine. Don't worry about it.
Exactly. I mean, between, let's see, he teaches, he's a musician, he writes books, he's a husband, he's a father, he's like, I don't know how the dude does it and not fall asleep half the time, especially the hours that he's up. Take care, everyone. Thanks so much for joining. I'm going to do the wave because you know